Right, straight away we're going in with Yvette, who says, hey, this is my cue as I'm going to sleep. Sleep well. Do you have any pre-songwriting rituals? Is there anything you have to do in order to write? I wish that there was. I wish that there was. Unfortunately, it just happens when it happens, and if you miss that, then you're screwed, really. Let me just lower this a touch. If you miss that, then that's it. So that's why I always carry around, oh, my bag's under a load of quilts over there, so I can't get it, but I always carry around a notepad, because wherever I am, I have my bag. Most likely. Like 9 times out of 10, wherever I am, I have my bag. And if something happens, I need to write it down because I'll forget. And that's why these things are so great, because I just go on, hit voice memo and just, you know, and that helps. If it's a melody thing, I record it. If it's a lyric thing, I write it down. So I don't. I wish that I did. And I might try and, you know, force myself to have a pre-writing ritual. So, you know, I might wait until it gets to 8 o'clock on a Sunday, like today, and have a glass of wine, and then force myself to write a song. And then slowly every Sunday at 8 o'clock, after I've had a glass of wine, I might start tricking my brain into, hi, it's writing time. So, Yvette, unfortunately, I don't. I wish I did. Oh my God, there are so many questions. If you could choose any artist to open for you, who would they be and why? I don't know really, because if I could choose any artist to open for me, then, you know, they probably deserve to be doing a lot more than opening for me. But what I will say about that, that's Jess, by the way, what I will say about that is looking for support artists is one of my favourite things to do. Because it means that in order to find the correct support artist, I need to be excited by them and their music, and it means that I have to do like a manhunt and search through loads of music, which I just love doing, loads of music, and then decide on somebody, and then I get to email them and see if they want to do it. And I don't know, it's a really cool process for me. I love discovering new music, and I love discovering new art, and it's doing that, it's doing, you know, going through the process of discovering new art that then leads me to then asking people to support me, and if they say yes, and if we get on really well, then that's a new friend. And you know, I found some very good friends through asking them to support me. All of the Amberung guys I would consider very close friends, and it's because, you know, we toured for a month in such close proximity with each other that we just had to like each other almost. Well, of course we didn't. We could have hated each other, but we didn't, fortunately. But yeah, it's great. I really love that process. But I don't know about choosing anybody to open for me. I don't know. Sarah says, when was the last time you wore a turtleneck? It was for a shoot once. I wore a turtleneck underneath Alexander McQueen's suit, and it was very great. Ellen says, what's your next goal venue after you've played Shepherd's Bush? I don't know. Playing Shepherd's Bush for me was the tip of the iceberg. That's like my dream venue. It has been for years. And after Shepherd's Bush, I always said that I really wanted to play Troubadour, but we'd already booked it and I'd already sold it out in a day. So I don't know, you know, I don't know. We'll have to see. I'd love to play somewhere like Brixton or Hammersmith, but to me that's just so far off in the distance that, you know, and that's purely for the numbers. You know, that's like Shepherd's Bush for me wasn't just because it's a big venue, it's because it's so special to me. You know, I've been to see gigs there, and I've just spent a lot of nights being wowed as a member of the audience there, that playing it was really quite special for me. And that's not just because it was to 3,000 people or whatever, it was just because it was really special, and it was something that I always wanted to do. You know, and beyond Shepherd's Bush, I don't know if I have anything like that, you know, another venue like that. Tash says, Christmas shopping done. Yeah, most of it. I finished it off today. Chest hair. Jay says, what do your family / friends think about your vlogging? I get ridiculed a bit, but a lot of people watch it, you know, even if they're in close proximity to me. My dad and my stepmom, I just found out, watch like every one. That's crazy, you know. I record the vlogs upstairs from where they are most of the time. So, you know, I don't know. I don't know. Why the fuck is there a lamp on your ceiling? It's not a lamp. Kaylee says, are you coming back to Boston on your next tour? I have no idea, like the cities and stuff. I'd love to come back to Boston. Boston was one of my favourite places in America. George says, hi babe. In your opinion, who are the best 3 champions in League of Legends right now? And why do you hate them so fucking much? Jax. He's broken. He's just so broken. Let's go with Jax. Tryndamere. It's pretty broken. He's always been broken. I don't really like that champion. That Eloy is quite broken as well, just because I don't know how to play against it. Well, I understand it, but I don't, mechanically I don't know how to play, you know. So I'd say those 3 at the moment are pretty broken, pretty OP. Nikki says, how do I get through Egg's break? I actually wanted to talk about this anyway, because I think it's quite an important thing. This whole Ed Sheeran taking a break thing, I think it's a great thing. I think there's only so much a person can do at 100% for 5, 6 years, 7, 8, however many years he's done it. How can I say this? It's the dream life, you know. It's something that I get to do like little snippets of every now and then. You know, I remember there was one time in Australia where I was supporting Birdie on her Australian tour. We were playing massive venues to thousands and thousands of people. And we started in Brisbane, and we played the Brisbane show, and everybody was flying to Perth that day because the next day was Perth. Next gig was in Perth. But the record label, they had a very important person in town, and they were having a boat party in Sydney. So they said, the morning that we were meant to go to Perth, they were like, hey, is it okay if you don't go to Perth, come to Sydney for about 2 hours, and then we'll get you in a taxi to go to the airport to then go to Perth to play the gig. And I was like, yes, yeah, of course, because they wanted me to go and play a few songs on this boat. And so I flew from Brisbane to Sydney, got on the boat, played 3 songs, got straight off of the boat onto a water taxi to get to land, to get on a taxi to get to the airport, to then fly to Perth, to then play a gig that night. That was pretty crazy. And you know, the whole time I was like, this is nuts. I get to do this. I get to do this. But it was knackering. Absolutely knackering. And I can imagine that's probably what Ed was doing. It's something similar. Like maybe once every week. You know, and in between those days where he was traveling so much and doing so much for everything, radio, whatever, promo, blah, blah, blah. He was then also traveling anyway and playing gigs. So I don't know. I wouldn't be able to do it 5 years. There's no way of me saying that because I don't actually know. I think that maybe I'd get by, but I don't know. He's had a very full-on career. A very he's a grafter basically, and he's worked very hard to get to where he is. So I think he deserves to be able to say, I'm going to take a step back for a little while, a few months. Still make music, still create music, but I'm not going to be at the front of everything. I'm just going to do that in the background and do it, and you know, that's it. I'll see you when it's released, kind of thing. I respect that decision. How do you get through it? Just trust in the fact that his 3rd album, as he said, will be the best stuff that he's created, and look forward to it. Also, a good way of getting through it is then waiting for my album and listening to that when it comes out. What do you drink with vodka? I'm not a big vodka fan because it tastes like hairspray. But if I was to drink it, probably lime and lemonade or Coke. Or cranberry juice. What's your favourite thing about writing music? What I love about writing music is that you start with nothing. You start with 0. not a lyric, not a melody, not nothing. Start with not nothing, and then somewhere in the future, could be 20 minutes, could be 20 months, you have something, and it's come from an emotion you've felt, or somebody you've seen in the street, or a story that you've heard, and then you've created this thing that then potentially millions of people are going to hear, and it's going to become potentially a part of those millions of people's lives. You know, it started from nothing, and now we're here. Started from the bottom, now the whole crew's fucking here, you know? Whole crew, whole team fucking here. Ellen asks, why don't you want to go to school?
I don't want to go to school because I'm stupid. I don't want to go to school.
That's why. Thanks a lot for asking all your questions again today. You've made it so I kind of really look forward to Sundays, and I appreciate that. So thank you very much. If you just watch the Q&As, I'll see you next week, but if you watch all the vlogs, I'll see you tomorrow. Thanks again. I don't want to go to school because I'm stupid.